What's up, Bulls Nation? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be discussing a word that is often seen as a negative in the NBA, and that word is decline. A lot of people don't necessarily like that word, but today we're going to be talking about whether or not there will be some decline in the Chicago Bulls' older players in this team. Now, at the end of the day, Father Time catches up with everybody, right? And eventually players that you see on this Bulls team constantly delivering might one day not be able to do those things anymore. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's going to happen to everybody, and everybody knows that by now. So we're going to be discussing whether or not this season will be the season where you get to see some of those players maybe decline. And we'll talk about that in this video. Before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls. Which players could be on the decline, and do you think you will notice their decline this season? Now, let me first start off by saying, just because I say older players, I actually don't think the decline is necessarily reflective on age. And I'll give you an example of someone on this Bulls team that I think has been on the decline, but even though he's still in his late 20s, and his name is Andre Drummond. Now, I mean no disrespect when I say this, but Andre Drummond was a guy that was a 20-20 guy in Detroit, an all-star, all-NBA type player. He believes he's going to make the Hall of Fame. And essentially, he went from that point, I guess, in his career, getting paid and all, being an all-star, being really known as a really elite player, to all of a sudden, really quickly as well, becoming a bench option for most teams, maybe a solid starter on other teams, but being a 6-6 guy for the Bulls that sometimes plays and sometimes doesn't play. And that, in my opinion, decline happened very quickly. And I don't think just because Andre Drummond is now a 6-6 player, I think for a lot of it, the NBA has changed in front of his very eyes, very similar to other guys around the league, and he just didn't adjust to it well, and his style of play doesn't necessarily suit the vast majority of teams as a starter. But I still see that as a decline for Andre Drummond in his late 20s. So again, he's what, 29 years old now? Maybe he's reaching 30. But that decline happened a couple of years ago, ladies and gentlemen. So his late 20s is when Andre Drummond began his decline in terms of that role in the NBA that he was given. Stuff of that nature. It doesn't necessarily reflect on age. You could be in your early, mid, late 20s and still decline as a player. Sometimes it's because you're not putting the work in. Sometimes it's because the attitude is bad. Sometimes it's because the NBA changes and roles changes and you can't adjust to it well. All these things lead to a decline. It's not just age. But of course, we have some veterans on this team, and we need to discuss their decline and whether or not it's going to happen this season. And let's start off with DeMar DeRozan, a guy that is called Mr. Consistent. Some people call him the king of the fourth quarter. Some people expect him to basically deliver every single night for the Chicago Bulls. And I'll be honest, I don't see a decline happening for DeMar DeRozan this season for a big reason. One, all the criticism that he's gotten. He's been called overrated in this offseason. Again, not to mention he was called one of the worst free agency signings in recent history 2 seasons ago. Obviously, how this Bulls team has been treated in the offseason this year. People don't have a lot of faith in the Bulls and stuff of that nature. And DeMar DeRozan is on a contract year. I think, if anything, this is building up for DeMar DeRozan to have an amazing season for the Chicago Bulls. And I'm hoping it's more like his first season, because I think we're going to need an MVP caliber player on this team if we're going to get anywhere at this point in time. But regardless of that, on a contract year, I can't see DeMar DeRozan slowing down this season. Maybe after he gets paid, maybe after he gets, I guess, that one last big contract, maybe that's when he will start to decline. Maybe the injuries will catch up with him, because I don't think anybody just wants to decline for the sake of being on a decline. Some people, it's injuries that get a hold of them. So maybe that will happen with DeMar DeRozan. Hopefully not. Hopefully there is no decline anytime soon. But, you know, Father Time will eventually catch up. But I don't think it's going to be this season. You turn to other guys like Nikola Vucevic. When I look at Nikola Vucevic, I don't think he's on a decline. What I always thought about Nikola Vucevic is that he's a guy that has accepted his role, done the team thing, and basically become the third option on this team. The way that I see it, if Nikola Vucevic was the first option on any other team, or if you put Vucevic back into the Orlando Magic team as a first option, he would still be an all-star in this league. He might not be on a winning team, essentially. He might still be that guy fighting for 8th every season. But regardless, he would be an all-star. I think he's accepted his role, and I think for that purpose, I can't see him being on the decline. But maybe this season will be a different story for Nikola Vucevic. Because the thing is, his game is not built on athleticism. His game is not necessarily built on speed. And when you're on the decline, when you're getting older and your joints don't necessarily work as much as they used to, when sometimes, you know, the body is not able, but the mind still is, Vucevic is very much a high intelligence player, a high IQ player. And for that reason, yeah, Vucevic may be on a decline. Maybe defensively he's getting a little bit slower. Maybe speed-wise he's still not, I guess, as quick as he probably was back in his early to late 20s. Maybe he is on the decline in that point of view, but it's not as noticeable for some people because his game is built on the post and is built around IQ, playing and passing out from double teams, shooting pick and pop threes, entering the post and post hooks. Those things are not going to go away for Nikola Vucevic, even if he is on the decline. It's more of the speed on defense, rotations. Those are the things you'll probably see Nikola Vucevic slowly start to decline in every single season. And it may get worse and worse to the point where it does become extremely noticeable, and it does get to a point where Vucevic might have to sacrifice some minutes for other guys to come in and fill those areas. So it's as simple as that in my opinion. I don't think you're going to drastically notice a Vucevic decline, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's not there. And that's kind of how I see it with Vucevic. But there are more guys out there, ladies and gentlemen. You got the new guys in Torrey Craig and Jevon Carter. Those guys are fairly up there in age. When is their decline going to start happening? Will it be this season? Well, again, they're role players. I doubt that their decline will happen this season, but you never know. Zach LaVine, you know, he's had a lot of injuries at the beginning of his career. Torn ACLs, knee injuries left, right, and center. Had back issues, thumb issues. The whole joint, you know. He's had a lot of injuries over the course of his career. You do begin to wonder whether or not a decline may happen earlier for him because of those injuries. I can't tell you that answer because I don't know, but there's a conversation point right there for you guys. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is a decline can happen at any time, and it's not always going to be predictable. But at the end of the day, if you're asking for my opinion, I can't see a drastically bad decline happening for anybody on this Bulls team this upcoming season. I think there's a lot to prove. I think there's a lot to be happy about and some of it not so happy about. And put it this way as well, if the Bulls suck this season, you're probably not going to see the decline of those players because some of them won't be here. You know, there will be trade pieces of older guys that will probably end up getting, you know, traded to a different team before we even see a decline happen for them. So there's another point as well that we may not be seeing a decline for some of these players. Let's wait and see. There's a lot to decipher for this Bulls team, and maybe those declines will happen, maybe they won't. I'm predicting you won't notice them. I'm predicting I won't notice them. So I am saying I don't think there will be declines or a massive decline happening for this Bulls team this season. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Drop a like and a follow and or subscribe if you are new. And I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.